Ty Simpson's big time and shining performance against Georgia in week 5 reshapes the quarterback class for the 2026 NFL Draft.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up and welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Top 10 quarterbacks. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks from week 5 of the college football season for the 2026 NFL Draft. Who's our QB of the week? Bama, Oregon, maybe we'll talk about it in just a second. Those stock rising quarterbacks and then those stock falling quarterbacks. But before we get into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. QBs of the week, Keith, and we had some, like we talked about it. There's some like a really good slate of games on Saturday, man. Some games went down to the wire. Multiple games went down to the wire, from Bama, Georgia, Oregon, Penn State with 2 overtimes, Iowa, Indiana. Some good performances, Keith. I'm gonna go to that Bama game. I'm gonna go to Ty Simpson, man. And this young man had himself a good game. 6'2", 210. Keith, that it feels like that FSU loss is long gone history at this point. Like, people, when you have a performance and you win on the road too, Keith. This was a game on the road in Athens. He was, completed 63% of his passes for 276 yards, passing 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 0 interceptions in this game. And Keith, I'm gonna be honest, for everybody who watched the game, early in that game, he should have had over 300 yards passing in this game and 3 passing touchdowns. Ryan Williams dropped a bucket drop. Ty Simpson saw it was a busted coverage. They had Ryan Williams streaking up the seam wide open, and he just dropped it. Took his eyes off the ball, trying to run before he secured the catch. And I'm like, if he catches that, that might have been like a 50-yard pass. So that puts him well over 300 yards in the day, and his day looks even better from a QBR, from a completion percentage. But the confidence and the just everything what I'm seeing from Ty Simpson, I like a lot right now, Keith. I said before the season, I felt like he was like the best fit for this Kalen DeBoer like passing offense, right? Where like Kalen DeBoer last year was trying to figure out how to fit his offense and mix it with what Jalen Milroe does. Ty Simpson doesn't give you what Jalen Milroe does as a runner. He's still athletic, but Jalen Milroe's a different animal. So, but from a passing standpoint, he fits it. And yeah, like the way that they were able to stress this Georgia defense and Kirby Smart, and it's crazy because I think there's a stat that Kirby Smart is like 1-6 against Bama, and the only one he has against Bama is the one where John Mechie and Jamison Williams both tore their ACLs. And it was just Bryce Young out there, the national championship game.
I was about to say it was the national championship game, right? And that was the same year, I think, which they lost against Bama. Remember in the SEC championship game,
Bryce was out there slicing the dice. Yep. So I don't know how these things look for Kirby if it wasn't for those 2 injuries right now. But Ty Simpson, man, shout out to him, Keith. He's moving up the quarterback rankings right now. I believe he still has another year of eligibility. So of course you will want to see him go back, get that extra year. But I'll be honest with you, I told somebody on Twitter the same thing. Hey, listen, I get it. The fear of guys coming out after 1 year. Ask Carson Beck how that worked out for him going back for another year, right?
Yeah,
like
go both ways.
You lose Ladd, you lose Brock Bowers. Yeah, I mean, granted, Ty Simpson will still have Ryan Williams, but you won't have Jeremy Bernard and different things. Like I think Isaiah Horton, who's come on as of late for them, you won't have him. More than likely, he'll enter the draft. I'm not gonna say he needs to enter the draft in terms of Ty Simpson, but I wouldn't just immediately say I'm going back to school.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm glad you highlighted him because you talk about the turnaround from week 1 when everything was, I mean, for lack of better statement, how people say, like, just kind of burning down around him, right? Like it was like, yo, this is really bad, and followed up with other performances that, maybe they thought were questionable or just okay by him.
Right.
But they put a good win against Wisconsin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I know they had ULM. So I'm with you, DP. And the thing with Ty Simpson is that if he plays well and makes good decisions, the physical tools are there enough to be an NFL quarterback, right? Like just
For
the
sure.
physical tools of it. For him, it's going to be about process and execution, right? What is his process pre-snap, process post-snap, and executing the play. So I'm glad you highlighted him. DP, I'm gonna go with my guy. Guy I've been talking about for a few weeks. We've circled
Mm-hmm.
this is a big test for him, big moment for him. Let's see what's gonna happen. Oregon quarterback Dante Moore, right? This is a young man that went into the game, played fairly light competition, right? Oklahoma State and one other Power Five school, I can't remember, was their Northwestern was their
Yeah, yeah.
kind of biggest competition. This is a young man that walked away from this football game. Penn State, a whiteout night game, biggest moment of your career thus far. Probably
Mm-hmm.
one of the not even probably one of the most hostile environments that you can have. I wouldn't even say just in college football, in all of football, period.
All football, yeah.
It was one of those situations, and he walked away. Stat line, which is 74% completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, which was impressive, and
Mm-hmm.
then almost 250 yards throwing the football. And I'm gonna say this, DP, the most important thing was not even a stat line for me, it was a temperament. And it was after I think they scored the first touchdown, because for a while this game was 3-3, and I'm like, this is
Mm-hmm.
not exciting at all. This is kind of boring. And I think it was after their first touchdown, and you can see him go to the sideline, and he was just like getting everybody worked up. Like it was like, and it was a tale of two different situations. He's on the sideline getting everybody amped, like, yo, let's go. Like we walking out of here with a win. And I was like, dog. Right,
Yeah.
that's what I said. He a dog, and I appreciated that so much. And it's not surprising that the final score ended up being a final score with Oregon winning that game, because it was an embracing of the difficult environment, and like, let's roll, let's show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, fans are
Yeah.
booing us. Yeah, they don't like us. Yeah, it's gonna be loud on third downs. Yeah, we can't hear each other. Yeah, but let's roll, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated that, because honestly, that's what you want to see in your quarterback, right? Like you when they sit down, and it's the same thing with in basketball, right? And they're like, okay, cool, you're two guard, you're three guard, whoever the best player on your team is. Do they really want the ball in the last moments,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do they really want to take the shot? And it's not, because it's not everybody thinks about taking a shot and making it, but the
Right.
guys who don't want the ball is because they're thinking about taking a shot and missing it. I
Missing it.
don't want a guy who is thinking about missing the shot, right?
Right.
I want a guy who's thinking about making a shot. And Dante Moore in that moment, he showed me that he's a guy that's like, yo, I'm cool with having the ball with 2 minutes left. Let's go figure this thing out. And
Yeah.
and I was extremely excited and impressed with him walking away from that win.
No, 100%. And I was texting texting my guy Dan, our guy Danny Holmes, and I was like, man,
Yep.
he's a low post player. Like there's no, like, watching him, I was like, is he even alive out here? Like, you know what I mean? And for those who don't know what that means, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
He's not too high,
Ice
he's not
water in
too
his
low.
veins, like that type of.
Absolutely. Like this young man was out there, just like you said, you saw him, you saw the emotion when you needed to see it, but
Mhm.
in the between the lines, he doesn't look phased. He's not like bothered. Like this young man is just locked in. And I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, this I saw it early too. I was like, Drew, you better put some points up. You got to make him feel some
Yeah.
pressure, because I feel like this young man, if he gets the ball last, you want, like, it's one of them situations where it's like playing 1-on-1, make it, take it. It's like, you better not miss, like, because if you miss, you ain't getting it back. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Luckily, Drew, you got it back, and you gave it right back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
And
gave it back to him.
to put it in the context, DP, if we go back to week 1, right, with Arch Manning and him playing Ohio State, and it was like, and I get it that Dante Moore has some warm-up games. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking
Yeah,
about is your first exposure to a really big moment, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's what it was for Dante Moore too, to where like it was a question mark. Like, is he gonna show up? Is he not gonna show up? How is he gonna play?
Mm-hmm.
Different things like that. And then obviously, well, no, they both in the same. Now this is Arch Manning's third year of college football too. So because I was about to
Yeah.
say that, like, but Dante Moore played a little bit of what at UCLA and things like that, but
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of in the same parts of their career, right? As
Yeah.
far as first year really starting at high leverage programs. And so you seen Dante Moore come in and show up. And I was really impressed. And I always say this, I talk about quarterbacks. I'm like, listen, the really good teams, I don't need you to throw for 450 yards, right? That's not what I'm asking.
Right.
But a stat line of what he put up and played well in good moments and overall good decision making. Because one thing you've seen too, DP, was that he took off with his legs a couple times, right?
Yeah.
And made
He put his
plays
body
like
on the line a few times in that
yeah,
game.
yep, and made some good plays. So that's why I went with him for quarterback of the week. For me, this is a guy I think whose stock continues to
Real
elevate.
quick, Keith, do you
Yeah, go
know one of the biggest differences we compare, and I hate to get they played against each other, him and Drew Aller, the footwork and the pocket navigation. That game-winning touchdown he threw, he moved up into the pocket, he felt pressure, he replaced the rusher with himself, and then slinged it to a wide open receiver. But you're not able to get the ball to the receiver if you don't move yourself in the pocket and find a throwing lane. Drew Aller is kind of that Will Levis situation, heavy-footed, standing in the pocket, waiting for things to happen, and then just throwing the ball into trouble. That's like, and for the fact that one's a senior who's played 3 straight years, the other one had the red shirt. Listen, stock up for Dante Moore, man.
Yep, 100% with DP. Let's do this, man. We talked about quarterback of the week. Let's talk about those stock rises, man. We're going to pull a couple quarterbacks who played some good football this past weekend, whose stock is slowly but surely elevating for us. Let's talk about those guys coming up next.
You know the saying, look good, feel good. The problem is that most dress clothes only check one of those boxes. They look sharp, but feel stiff, hot, and high maintenance. And that's why there's Mizzen & Main. Mizzen & Main makes classic menswear with performance fabrics, so it's effortless to look sharp and feel comfortable. They actually invented the performance fabric dress shirt over 10 years ago, and they perfected it ever since. I love that you can go from the office to dinner or even out on the golf course and still feel comfortable all day. Right now, Mizzen & Main is offering our listeners 20% off your first purchase at mizzenandmain.com with the promo code LOCKEDONNFL20. That's Mizzen, spelled M-I-Z-Z-E-N, and Main, M-A-I-N.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL20 for 20% off. And if you'd rather shop in person, you can find Mizzen & Main stores in select states. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is here and in full swing, and FanDuel has an offer for you that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use freely across the app. And you can use those things like player props, building same-game parlays, and even jumping into the live game action as it unfolds. So why would you want to miss out on a deal like that? My question now to you is simple. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today, and you can get started. Again, what are you waiting for? Go visit FanDuel.com right now to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Stock rising quarterbacks coming off of week 5 of the college football season for the 2026 NFL draft. And Keith, this is a guy that we both liked. And last year we were, it was a down year for him, but he's bounced back greatly this year. And that's Jalon Daniels over at Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I he had himself a day this past weekend, Keith. I think he was 19 of 29, 65% completion percentage, 445 yards passing, averaged 15 yards per attempt, and 4 passing touchdowns. And this is a guy that most people, when they hear the name Keith, they think, well, he's going to have 400 yards rushing more than 400 yards passing because of how dynamic and strong of a runner he is. And he still had 58 yards rushing. He had 2 fumbles in this game and everything. They ended up losing a close one, I believe, to Cincinnati. But I just look at Jalon Daniels, and again, I think about like the Snoop Huntleys and think guys like that could be that comp for him. I definitely think that to me, he's moved himself up into that 4th round type of range of that quarterback, that good backup quarterback, that guy that can run the offense. And I'll say it, like he's to me is an ideal candidate, especially for like a Baltimore Ravens team, to have a guy behind Lamar Jackson. that can run this offense to a T, run it the same way Lamar can run it and everything. He's a dual threat. He can throw. He's got a good arm, but he can also hurt you with his legs, things of that nature. Like, when I into this season, I was just kind of concerned. Like, we seen the NFL not know how to use the best, the good franchises learn how to use quarterbacks, but guys with his type of skill set, I'm like, they don't know what to do with. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do we develop them? Do we tell them to switch positions? What do we do? Right? Like Malik Cunningham coming out of Louisville and everything. He came in. He was backup for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. I think. Well, he went to New England. We backup for Lamar. I think they changed him to a receiver. He went to New England. Like stuff like that, right? Like they just now you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. You don't know what to do.
I think he was in Miami for a minute.
Might have been. Like they just, you know what I'm saying? Once you start moving guys like positions, things get muddy. So I like what I'm seeing from Jalon Daniels this year. He's playing good ball and not just being a runner. He's throwing the ball very well this year, and I feel like not a lot of people are taking notice to that.
No, and I think he's playing good football overall. Like he's making fairly good decisions, and that's something. And this is, I think he's a 6th-year senior, right? So I think he's 6 years senior. I think he's played for 6 years. Like, and it's obviously been a couple injuries sprinkled in there and things like that. But you ultimately wanted to see this kind of book in with him playing on a high note, because last year it wasn't that, right? Then I think the year before that he got injured. Then I think he played well the year before that, and then I think the year before that was an injury. Like it was an interesting process.
Right.
Just Jalon Daniels' career, but playing off a high note. And I actually tweeted that out too. I'm like, nah, check out Jalon Daniels, because if he plays well, Kansas has an opportunity in the Big 12, right, to make some noise. And I agree with that. DP, the guy I'm going to go with as a stock riser is just, listen, these names, we just got to start paying attention to these young men who are playing good football. It was in a losing effort, but I'm going to go with Jayden Maiava, right? And I think I'm pronouncing that right. Thus far, DP, his stat line is 11 touchdowns and 1 interception, right? This is a junior. He's listed at 6'4", 230 pounds. And just looking at the Illinois game, he went 30 or 43, 2 touchdowns, and this was the first game he threw interception, right? But even last week, I watched the game last week. There's a guy that went 20 or 26 with 3 touchdowns. So playing good overall football, DP, and decision-making appears to be something that's kind of on his radar as far as he's doing good things. And I remember last year, and it seems light years ago, but do you remember the opening game last year, and Miller Moss and the USC Trojans beat LSU, right? And I think that was a Sunday game, I believe, or something like
Sunday
that.
night game, yeah.
And it seemed that, and Miller Moss appeared to be on this track. Oh, man, he's going to be a good quarterback. And then everything kind of fell off the rails. And then Lincoln Riley, I believe he put this young man in, and it was like, man, okay, that's an interesting switch. I wonder why he went with it. And I get it now. It's because this guy's efficient, right? He's efficient in what he does. He's not turning the ball over. It's not a whole bunch of silly mistakes. So as we flush through these quarterbacks, and I know we got some interesting topics prepared for the end of the week in order for the quarterbacks, he's a young man that we're going to have to talk about. Just like, hey, the numbers look good, right? And Fernando Mendoza is a guy that's elevated himself because he's making good decisions. This past week, I think, was the first interception that he's thrown thus far in the season. So if these guys are playing good football along with the Dante Moores and things like that, it's like, are we just looking at a totally different quarterback class? Which, I mean, let's have some fun, right? Let's get to it and let's figure it out.
Buckle up. That's something I can say is buckle up.
As a stock riser for me.
Yeah, he's like, I think the key word you use, efficient. Right. And it's crazy because he's also athletic. He can move with his legs and create second reaction throws and different things like that. But he's not the type of quarterback that relies upon it. And that's what, to me, and to be completely honest, that's the most dangerous quarterback. The guys who, like this version of Lamar Jackson and this version of Josh Allen are more dangerous than the initial versions that came out of college. With Lamar, where you were running the Greg Roman, like read option, quarterback power and counter. Yeah, that was dangerous because he can control the clock and it can wear you down and stuff like that. But now when he starts using that athleticism to just juke you, make you miss, keep his eyes downfield and throw a touchdown, it was like, what was it last year against Cincinnati where he stiff arms, I think, Trey Hendrickson and throws a
Yeah,
touchdown in the back of the end zone.
yeah.
And then Trey gets up and looks and realizes it's a touchdown. He just like he looked heartbroken. It was just like, I did all of that and you still scored. It was just like, what else are we supposed to do here? Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like when you got a guy that's being efficient from throwing from the pocket, for those who don't know, he's Jayden Maiava, 140 attempts, 98 completion, 70% completion percentage, 11 yards per attempt, 11 touchdowns to 11 passing touchdowns to 1 interception. He's not putting the ball really in harm's way. The Purdue game, he got caught with a couple of turnover-worthy throws. But outside of that, he's been protecting the football. He's gotten it out quick. And honestly, Keith, I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, I forget this is an air raid offense because it doesn't look like an air raid offense. You know what I mean? Where it's like you're not really, because that's one of the offenses to me from, I don't know how you feel from an evaluation standpoint. I'm like, with quarterbacks, watching these guys in the air raid, I'm like preparing you for the league. I'm like, I don't know. Like we talk about Josh Heupel's offense, but like the air raid puts you in some very QB friendly spots, right? And yeah, I think our boy, Ray Garvin, shout out to Ray G. He was like, he kind of looks like Caleb, and I was like, a little bit, yeah, you can see it. He's just not as superhero.
Ray is a USC fan. Oh,
correct.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
Ray is definitely a USC.
He wants to see him look like Caleb.
he definitely wants to see that for sure. But shout out to Jayden.
Shout out Ray. Shout out
to Ray too, man. And what they're doing over there, Destination Devi and everything. But like I like what I'm seeing from this young quarterback. And as we get deeper and deeper into Big Ten competition, like that connection to him and Mekhi Lemon. Man, like we thought it was going to be Jacoby Lane was going to be the guy.
Not even playing right now, right? So
yeah, he's banged. He's dealing with an injury. I think he played through it, but he's not effective right now.
Yeah,
Mekhi and Jayden are on the same wavelength. These guys are on the same page. So shout out to them. These young quarterbacks, guys, take note. We're gonna talk about it later on in the week, but just take notice.
Yep, with DP, let's do this, man. We always say what goes up must come down, right? And we have to talk about a couple of those quarterbacks that are falling. We have to put new names on the list, so that means we have to take some names off the list. So we're going to talk about a couple of guys, man, who had disappointing performances. We're going to talk about those guys coming up next.
What do you get when you have a bald eagle standing on top of a silverback gorilla who's riding a T-Rex? Confidence. Pure confidence. And if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Reshaping Go Long. Reshaping Go Long is not just another ED pill. It's a total game changer for your confidence. The type of confidence that gives you the things that you look for, the effects that can last up to 36 hours. That's confidence all day, all night, and even into the very next day. Are you ready to level up your confidence in the bedroom? Head to reshaping.com and use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL for 15% off your first order. Again, that's reshaping.com, RUGIET.com with the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Make sure to use our code so they know that we sent you. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Those stock falling performances. Keith, when you look at the quarterback landscape coming off of week 5 of college football, we talked about Drew Aller yesterday. We talked about him on yesterday's show, and of course, that stock is plummeting at this point. If you had any money in it, sell it. That's how I look at it. The stock market's not too kind to him right now. What other performances from week 5 you say you looked at it like, man, I don't think I want any shares in this right now?
It's tough, but I gotta say it. I don't know what's going on with LSU at this point, right? Offensively, I just don't. And how do I say this? It's because what we thought might have been an issue is not an issue, and what we thought was a for sure thing has been an unsure thing. That was a bar right there. That was low-key.
Yeah, that was a bar. That was a bar. Shout out.
And what I'm talking about with LSU is that their defense is playing fairly solid football, right? They found a good spot for Harold Perkins to play like that. Like everybody's showing up. The defensive backs are increasingly, better than what they were over the past few years. And then the offense is just sputtering. DP. It just like it's it's not a what could go wrong, does go wrong type of situation, but it's a situation where I think that the connectivity appears to be missing for some reason, right? Like everything is not firing on all cylinders, and it's impacting Nuss also, right? And when you sprinkle in the reason with Nussmeier, you can take him playing like Brett Favre if you also had 400 yards passing, right?
Facts.
And what I'm saying is the Brett Favre conversation of, yeah, Brett is going to give you 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and then an interception where you like holding your head like what was that, right? But you can't play like it can't be that when it's 200 yards passing, right? 1 touchdown, 1 interception, right? Like that's not, there's no balance to it. So I think he's a result of the entire situation, but have to have the honest conversation, right? And this is going to be a thing where I'm gonna have to really get into the film, because I think even with Nick Anderson, like this is probably my first time having a real Nick Anderson appearance, right? When he and it was kind of a mistake, because
it was not supposed to happen.
I think it hit the defender, right? Like it was a ball I feel like probably shouldn't have been thrown, right? And it was a tip pass, and then Nick was right there and he caught the touchdown. And for those who like we collectively like Nick Anderson, like we think he's a good wide receiver prospect as far as height, weight, speed, agility, things like that. So it's the whole thing. I'm actually interested to hear from your perspective of that situation.
So I Keith, I was wondering, because I had to do some research. I was like, did they change OCs? Because I was like, Nuss was like a completely different player compared to last year. I think it's Joey Sloan.
When I came into this season, DP, and I said that there were 2 versions of Nussmeier. Remember I talked about that? And I was like, there was the version that was just grip it and rip it. Then there was the version where I feel like a meeting happened where they told him to protect the football. And ever since that situation, it's been a mental thing for him to get over the hump of throw for 300 yards and protecting the football. Like, he's trying to find what's the fine balance.
He's trying to do both.
And remember, we talked about it entering the season. I'm like, I wonder what version are we going to get? And it's a version that's still trying to figure out how I do both, right? And I'm almost at the point where I just want to tell him, listen, grip it and rip it, right?
Yeah,
and we'll figure it out after that.
And so the reason why I brought up the OC situation, so in 2023, when Jayden Daniels was still there, Joey Sloan, I think it's Joey Sloan, was the QB coach. That's the guy who helped develop Jayden Daniels. They promoted him in 2024 to OC. Well, this season, from what I researched, they have co-offensive coordinators. Anytime you got a co-coordinator, that's not a good thing.
Did he leave? I'm not 100% familiar. Somebody, I believe, went to Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, I think somebody went over to Notre Dame as well.
Yeah.
So, like, is Garrett Nussmeier dealing with too many voices in the headset, too many voices in the meeting room? Because to your point, I feel like they neutered the guy. Like, hey, like, don't put the ball in harm's way. Like, he still has his moments doing it, but like you said, the grip and the ripper. I remember watching Nussmeier. That's why I was so excited about Nick Anderson in his offense. I'm like, Nussmeier was ripping throws last year. You know what I mean? Now, again, like, does he have the big arm, the cannon? Maybe not, but he was still seeing it quick, he still gets the ball out, but he was ripping throws with utter confidence. And it's like, and I'll say this, to look at Xavier Thomas, Barry and Brown, Aaron Anderson, who I think Aaron Anderson got hurt. You got Chris Hilton and everything, Trey Des Green, who's like a bigger, like I think he's like a tight end, stuff like that.
Big
to me,
type of.
I feel like, to your point of them like changing things and having that meeting, you're seeing those smaller, shiftier, quicker winners on the field with Nuss. And at the end of the day, listen, it don't matter how good of a route runner as after the catch play or how explosive you are, you need size on the field at the same time as your receiver room. Your receiver, I want my receiver room to look like a basketball, a starting 5. I can't win with 5 Steph Currys. Like, you know what I mean? Yes, we're gonna be able to shoot the lights out, but who's defending the paint? Who's guarding the center? Who's rebounding? Who's playing the small? Nobody, because we don't have the size. Get Nick Anderson in there consistently, and let's factor him in, because he's the guy with the ball skills, the height, weight, speed, and ball skills for Nuss to say, you know what? I can throw that back shoulder fade. I don't have to hold the ball because I know even though it looks like that guy's in his hip pocket, with my placement, I can place it on the back shoulder, pin it there, and let him go make that play on it. You can't do that with Barry. You throw in the moon ball to Barry and Brown, and it's like if it doesn't drop in the bucket, it's not going to be caught. You throw the moon ball to a Nick Anderson, a bigger body guy, Chris Hilton, more than likely. These are guys that have more size. They can go up and make a competitive play on the ball. I still have Nuss as right now. His grade has dropped to like back into the first for me. I still think he's going to be a first round pick. And I think he's probably going to be a Senior Bowl guy, more than likely, to where he could get away from LSU and then just go out there and play. This is just very concerning, the way this offense looks. And I was worried about it going into this game, Keith. I was like, all right, Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss, they can put up points. What are y'all going to do about that offensively? This LSU situation is just very weird. Like if it is true that they have co-offensive coordinators and Nuss is hearing from multiple people, like, and at some point, Keith, I'll close with this. I go back to that year, was it 2015? Denver Broncos final year, Peyton Manning. Gary Kubiak was head coach, and I'll never forget. He entered that year and he let Peyton, everywhere Peyton went, they let Peyton run his offense. Gary Kubiak gave Peyton like a little stretch of the games. It was like, we can run what you want to run, and if it don't work, we're changing it. Peyton looked like an absolute shell of himself. His arm is dead, everything. Like Gary says, scratch that. We're going to my wide zone run game. We're going to play action. West Coast, we're getting the ball out quick. They rattle off wins. They go and win the Super Bowl, right? They play ball control. Defense wins the game. To me, whoever's calling plays over there needs to say, and whoever's dealing with Nuss, all right, Nuss, that's on us. Our plan didn't work. Let's get you back playing ball like you play ball. Let's get you playing the same confident level of football you played last year, because right now, this ain't it. We can't beat a Georgia, a Bama, a Oklahoma with John Mateer healthy playing offense the way we've tried to construct it. They got to figure this out, Keith.
Yeah, no, and I think that's the threshold is that, okay, playing how we played, because obviously early on they had the best one of the season, right? Like, okay, opening week, Clemson. Then you fast forward 3 weeks and you're like,
not so much.
What the great way, right? That wasn't great. Clemson didn't do you any favors, right? But the common theme has been this offense. And I think even against Louisiana Tech, DP, that it sputtered a little bit even against Louisiana Tech. I think the only great game that they had was against Southeastern, I believe.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to do that, right? So it's a lot to unfold. And with this quarterback conversation, like even, we had to get into like the Lenore Sellers and things like that. It's just there's a lot. There's a lot there. And it's a lot to unfold because these guys, and I know we have to wrap in a couple minutes, and I'm gonna just kind of put this out there and we could come back to it. But you even take the Bill Parcells methodology of like what quarterbacks we want, right? And it's the experienced guys and things like that. It's just, where do we go from here? Because the experienced guys it's crazy, right? And then we have a bunch of one-year players who are starting off well. So it's a lot to kind of take in and process.
Well, absolutely, man. I don't know. We're going into week 6 this week, Keith, and there's some smoke settling and things. Some pitches are getting clearer. Some pitches are even more smug and more foggy than we thought was going to happen. Going into week 6. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yep, I agree with DP. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.